What we do at 7KBW is commercial law, but within commercial law there's a huge spectrum of cases that you might get involved with, so that the legal questions that arise can be very different, but also the factual questions and the factual situations that arise are very different.
We do the full breadth of commercial work, but having said that, there's no doubt about it that we are specifically known for particular aspects of commercial work, and particularly insurance and shipping. But in fact, we have a very broad spectrum of work in Chambers.
I in particular do a lot of civil fraud work in a range of sectors: property frauds, commodities frauds, banking frauds, which brings in a range of different jurisdictions, different subject matter, different clients.
I have over the years done a lot of accountants' liability work, which is fun because it means you're involved in the biggest corporate collapses of the day and the finger pointing about what went wrong. So, for example, I acted for Carillion against KPMG after Carillion collapsed.
Shipping, commodities, international arbitration, a lot of conflicts of law and jurisdictional questions.
There'll be a hotel management case in Dubai, there'll be an aviation case in India, there'll be another aviation case or a shipping case in Singapore. Doesn't mean to say that we're constantly going around the world, not at all, but that's the type of work we do.
I was involved in a case involving a film set for one of the Bond films that burnt down, and I had to learn all about how film sets are built.
So within my first year of being attendant at 7 King's Bench Walk, I've been working on Russian aviation cases. I've looked at cases involving the opioid epidemic in the United States. I've even sued a teddy bear company.
We get the best insurance cases because we are regarded as the premier insurance set of Chambers at the bar. And that generates the best cases, generates the most interesting cases, and it means therefore that our insurance work, unlike the insurance work of most other sets of Chambers, is the most interesting work.
A lot of the cases that we do in Chambers are very high value cases, and they're often both legally and factually complicated. And so that means that we often work together in teams.
So, for example, a lot of members of Chambers at the moment are involved in a very large piece of litigation involving a fleet or several fleets of aircraft that have been retained in Russia since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That's worth many billions of US dollars, involves a raft of lawyers.
But what I really like about the work is the sort of factual scenarios that it throws up. Everyone thinks insurance sounds a bit dry, but actually I find it fascinating. So hurricanes, satellite failures, the collapse of the economy in 2008, the Ukraine-Russia conflict, all of these things give rise to insurance and reinsurance disputes.
Every case involves a different underlying subject matter, and you very often have to get under the skin of that subject matter to do the case properly.
Suddenly you become a master of some really obscure area of engineering or technical practice, or what people do in some area of business.
I can tell you how to drill or how not to drill an oil well. I can tell you how to break into a container without it showing. I can tell you how a zinc smelting plant ought to work but sometimes doesn't, and so on. So one thing I enjoy is getting a snapshot of lots of different types of businesses.
Another aspect of my work, and that of a number of members of Chambers, is mediation. That is trying to resolve disputes by acting essentially as a go-between between the parties, rather than our main work, which is acting as the advocate in a much more adversarial role.
I find the work to be really enjoyable and also sometimes quite challenging. There's always some new problem, and you've got to address it either by research to think about it if it's a legal problem, or by picking up something with experts. So I love that variety. I think that it means that I'm never doing the same thing twice in the same way.
Civil fraud, professional negligence, energy work. The work really does cover the entirety of human life, and we'll be dealing with problems arising out of sanctions, war, riots, piracy, disputes over film scripts. If it's a contract, you name it, we do it.